going over some of the fractions questions that came up, and some of the answers are wrong. I understand that. So, but it doesn't hurt going over it anyways, right? So, question 5. I don't know, that one is, yeah, that one was clearly wrong in my notes. So that one I will just show you what it should be. Okay, question 5. So I will come over here and just show you 5 for now. Don't worry about the rest. Right? But if this is question 5, the first step you should have taken is convert them to improper. Okay? Hold on one second. I'm just going to turn off the front lights, then it'll make it easier. Okay, so we're converting this to an improper, so 1 times 6 plus 1 is 7/6, and then subtract 2 times 2 plus 1, that's 5, right? 5/2. And then we need our LCD, right? Like that. You don't have to write it anymore, right? We just know it's 6. This one stays. This one, right? You would have to multiply this by 3. So 5 times 3 is 15. You're going to have a negative answer because 15 is bigger than 7, right? So you basically subtract them and you get this, negative 8 over 16. And you can simplify that, right? Because the 8 goes in here once and it goes in here twice. Okay, so it's negative 1/2. Is that what you got? Yeah, I hope. So there it is. And then 18 is a little trickier. So here's 18 solved for you. And I'll break it down a bit. Okay? So all of these are mixed. And they're all multiplying. I make a note that there's a negative there. And there's a negative there. Okay? So I convert all of them to an improper fraction, right? And you get 7/3, that's negative 5/2, and this is negative 8 over 3. You have an option here, okay? You could first pick these two, multiply them across, right? And then get an answer, and then you're left with just 2 fractions. Or you can just tackle them all at the same time. That's what I did here. And I noticed that this 2 and this 8 could be simplified, right? Cross. So you can find any 2 that are, right? You can find any denominator here and reduce it with any numerator that you may have that you're able to find common factors for. Okay, so I found that the 2 and the 8, they're both even. Those stick out right away to me. So the 2 goes in here once, the 2 goes in there 4 times. And then you multiply across, right? Negative 7 times 5 is negative 35 times negative 4, right? If you have this gives you a negative here, and you multiply it by another negative, that will end up being a positive answer. Okay. So maybe what I will do is, as a second option would be, right? Let's rewrite this like I had it at the beginning. And you could just choose to work with the first 2 here. So that would be negative 7 times 5, right? That's negative 35 over 6. Multiplied by negative 8 over 3, right? So you multiply these two, and now you bring this one down. Now you have 2 fractions, and you know a negative times a negative will always be a positive, right? And you can probably see that you can cancel out here. The 2 goes in here 3 times. The 2 goes in there 4 times. Okay, So it's 35 times 4, right? Negative times negative, that's 140 still. 3 times 3 is 9. And there's your final answer. You get the same answer regardless of how you did it. Okay. Okay. You're here then, Robert. Sounds good. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay. And then where did you get 16 from question 5? Oh, that's what everybody, but that's what the rave is all about. Yeah. Thank you for letting me know. I don't know who told me that. Rowan, thank you. Yes, I turned that into a multiplication question, didn't I? Yeah. Okay, let's do this over. This is still negative 8, but it's out of 6. And then we will say that the 2 goes in here 3 times, the 2 goes in there 4 times. So it's negative 4 over 3. Does that sound better? Isn't that what I gave you in the first place? Okay, I don't know. I can't remember what I gave you in the first place. But it's negative 4 over 3. Does that make sense? All right, thank you, Rowan. Okay, let's do 19, which is a little bit more challenging. So I'm going to tackle 19 there. Okay, this one here. So this one has a lot of stuff going on, but it's still important. If you follow the steps, right, you should be fine with that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this into improper right away. So 4 times 3, that's 12, plus 2 is 14. So that's negative 14 thirds, right? Plus 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So that's 5 halves. Okay. You can choose to keep this in the denominator if you'd like, but really this is dividing, right? So if you wanted to, you could say, hey, I'm going to divide that by 3 2/3 times 2 1/4. Okay, so you get rid of that fraction essentially. Now the next line would be we need a common denominator here, which is 6. Right? The 3 goes in there 2 times, so it's 2 times 24, which is negative 28. 2 goes into 6 3 times, so it's 15 there. Divided by, I'm going to just turn this into an improper here. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11. And this is 9 over 4, like that. You could have done that right away as well. And then the next line here, negative 28 plus 15, that would be negative 13 over 6. Not 16, right? Like I did earlier. And then you go, let's see if you can cross cancel here. Cross simplify. The 3 goes in here once. The 3 goes in there 3 times. So that's 3 times 11. That's 33 over 4. Okay, like that. And then your last step is, this is a division really. So it's negative 13 over 6 multiplied by the reciprocal of this fraction, of the second one. And you can see that these are both even. So I'm going to say 2 goes in here 3 times. 2 goes in there 2 times. There's nothing that these two share. So you end up with a negative 26. And then 3 times 33 is 99. So there's your final answer. I had some questions about that one, so this one is heavier, but it's important that you keep the order of operations right, and that you are able to kind of combine all of the skills that we've learned, right? Because this has multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction, basically, right? All combined. Which one? Would you like me to do 20 yet? Do 20? Couldn't care. Some of you don't care. Some of you would like 20 to be done. Let's do 20, and then we'll move on to the equations. Okay, so 20 is there. Maybe I can just do that right next to this here, 20, and you can see the question, right? So I will turn this into an improper here. So -2 minus 4/3, right? And then I will convert the bottom here, which I will for now leave like this. So this is 6 7/2 divided by, this is 12 plus 1 is 13/6. So I'm showing you that you can leave it like this if you like. Right? And the next line is, we need a common denominator here. This technically has a denominator of 1, right? So we can do thirds and thirds. This one just stays. This one would have to be, right? 1 times 3 would give you that. So this times 3 here is -6 there. I'm going to keep that in brackets here. And this one, I'm going to flip the second one already. Like that. And I can work with the top here. So you're going to add these two and keep the negative, right? So that's -10/3. You can leave it like that, I'm sure. And then here, I'm going to try to cancel. When you're multiplying, try to cancel. 2 goes in here once, 2 goes in here 3 times. If you don't cancel, it's just going to be more work later on to simplify. Right? So it's 7 times 3 is 21. And 1 times 13 is just 13. Like that. And we have a division. This divided by that, right? So I'm just going to show you that it's -10/3 divided by 21/13, which turns to, if you flip this one, is 13/21, like that. Okay, and just making sure I copied everything right. Is there anything I can cancel out? There's nothing here and there's nothing here. So we could just multiply across like that, which seems, one second here. I'm going to backtrack. 6/3, 4/3, -10/3, you got that. And then I got 13/6 and 7/2, yeah. I flipped the second one. I canceled out. Yeah. And then I turned this into a division. And I flipped the second one. So that's essentially negative 130 over 63. But that's not the answer I gave you, right? Mm-hmm. How many of you got this? Yeah? So I did give you the wrong answer, right? My bad. Okay. Okay. So that's what it is. I apologize. I'm going to change that on my key here. Sometimes that happens. There you go. And I'm just going to make sure I rescan that one before I post it for the next group. Okay. Done with fractions. Let's move on to more equations, okay? So I'm going to take take up some questions. Maybe we'll do a few more notes and then I will assign you some questions on that worksheet. Review equations, right? February 11th, 2021, right? So more examples, right? It's basically continued from yesterday. So we have, I would like you to try this one here. 36 is equal to 5x plus 24 over 4, like this. So switching it up a little bit. So 36 is equal to 5x plus 24 over 4. So an equation like this, and you will see those in that worksheet that I gave you. Okay. This is different. Like we had a question yesterday where the 4 was only affecting the x. It was like 5 over 4x or something like that. So the 4 was only affecting the first term. In this case, the 4 is affecting both of these. Okay. A common error is to say, hey, I'm going to bring the 24 over to this side, right? It's plus 24 here, or I'm going to bring the 5x over to this side, and it's just going to be 5x here. It's going to be negative 5x here. That's not correct because the 4 is dividing both of them. So these are almost like they're locked in place until you deal with the division here. Okay? So this is the first thing you want to get rid of. the 4 that's dividing. So we're going to multiply both sides by 4. That's the inverse operation, right? Multiply both sides by 4 like this. And you're essentially, right, just let the invisible brackets pop out, right? And what you can do here is cancel this out like that. And then it's 4 times 6 is 24. And 4 times 3 is 12 plus 2 is 14, right? So that's 144 there. And you're left with just the 5x plus 24 like that. Okay. And now you continue trying to isolate for x. So most students would bring the 5x over because they would like the variable to be on the left side. And that's okay, right? So I'm going to bring the 5x over to this side. So it'd be negative 5x is equal to, the 24 is already there, minus 144. So the 5x changed signs because it crossed the equal sign, and the 144 crossed the equal sign, so it changed its sign as well. And then you end up with negative 5x is equal to, this would be, this is a positive and a negative, but the negative has a bigger sign, right? So it'd be negative 120, like that. And then we divide both sides by negative 5, not just 5, right? So we end up with 5 goes in there 2 times, right? So it's 24 positive. And there you have your answer. X is 24. Okay. Let's continue with some other questions here. No, you do not have to. Okay. So this is one option, right? This is one method, right? Or, right? It's actually a good question here. 144 is equal to 5x plus 24, right? That's what you get after canceling out the 4. If you just want to bring the 24 over and leave the 5x on that side, so you don't have to worry about the negatives, right? So it's 144 minus 24, that's 120, and you see that it will look exactly the same, except for your variables on this side. Okay, so both are acceptable. There's no right or wrong when it comes to where the variable is. They're both saying the exact same thing, right? Okay, B. Let's do this one here. 2x plus 4. 3 times 2x plus 4 is equal to 4 times x minus 5. Okay, so try that one on your own, and then I'm going to do C here. I'm going to give you another one. So try B on your own. Okay. So you need to distribute, right? 3 times that, 3 times that, 4 times this, 4 times that, right? So this would be 3 times 2 is 6x, 3 times 4 is 12, equals 4 times x is 4x, 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. Watch the signs, right? I'm going to bring the 4x over to this side and the 12 over to this side. So it'd be 6x minus 4x is equal to negative 20 minus 12. Okay, 6x minus 4x is 2x, and that is equal to negative 32. And then you divide both sides by 2, and x is equal to negative 16. There we go. All right. Okay, C, write it down, and then we're going to try one of those. They look scary. It's like, oh my goodness, decimals, right? But there's actually an easy fix to them. They all have one decimal after, right? And so we take the whole equation, and we just multiply that by 10, right? If you do the same thing to the whole equation, you're not altering it. That is the easy way to go about it. If you worked with decimals, it's just going to be a little bit more difficult. If you turn them into fractions, it's going to be a bit more difficult. So this is the easy way to do it. If you had 2 decimals everywhere, or if you had a mix between 1 decimal and 2 decimals, multiplied by 100, right? Because then you're going to shift the decimal 2 places, and so no decimals will appear moving forward, okay? So this will turn into 4x. This will turn into 3 is equal to 5x minus 12, right? I'm going to bring the x over to the left, so that's 4x minus 5x. And I'm going to bring the constant 3 over to this side, changing its sign. So that's negative x is equal to negative 15. You divide both sides by negative 1, because there's really a coefficient of negative 1 in front of x. And that's your answer there. Okay. And one more for you to practice, which I'm going to ask you to give me the answer to as well. D. I want to make sure I fit this in. That's why I'm starting. I usually like to leave space. Okay, 4.0 minus 1.5x is equal to 5.8 minus 2.0x. Give that one a try. All right. I see a lot of decimal answers, which is okay, but you're not going to be able to use a calculator. So I don't know if you are using a calculator. Keeping it as a fraction is just fine, okay? So we apply the same strategy here. If you're still answering, go for it, right? Multiplying everything by 10, so we end up with 4 minus 15x is equal to 58 minus 20x. Sorry, what did I do here? 40, right? It's 40, my bad. So 40 minus 15 is equal to 58 minus 20x. Okay. I'm going to stick with the way I've been doing things, bringing the variable over to this side. So it's negative 15x minus 20x comes over adding. The 58 is already on the right hand side. So the 40 comes over subtracting, right? Negative 15 and positive 20, that gives you 5x is equal to, here you get 18, right? 58 minus 40. And then their last step is divided by 5. X is equal to 18 over 5. It cannot be reduced any further. I know it's 3.6, so a bunch of you answered 3.6. That is correct. But you won't be able to use a calculator unless you did it, you used mental math to get that. That's fine, right? It does go in there 3 times, and then there's 30 left over, which is 6, right? 3.6. So that's what you were supposed to get here. And the homework for this part here is going to be the mixed equations review. Okay, I gave you that one. You should have that in your, looks like this. Let me just find it here. You should have a worksheet that looks like this. And yesterday I had only assigned the first page. So today I'm assigning the first and second. So if you haven't done the first page yet, you will do the second as well. And I would like you to try that for sure. So review of solving equations. Okay, worksheet. And you should all have that. I think two students didn't come in on Tuesday when it was your scheduled day to be in. So I will also post this mixed review of solving equations online so you can follow. And the answer key will show up today at around 5 in the evening, so you can kind of check and compare and see if you're doing that right. Let's say you're done this, okay? You were proactive and you did both pages, right? Both sides of this. There is a basic skill review that I also gave you when you came through here. Okay, so there it looks like it says basic skills review. So that basically, I haven't done everything that's on here, but pretty much everything. If you want to do that already, this is just to give you a pretty good sense as to what you're expected to know coming into grade 10 from grade 9. Okay, so I'm going to say that as well because I'm going to give you the rest of today's class to work on that mixed equations review. So if you're done that, then you can start the basic skills review as well. So that tomorrow I will, if there are any questions, I will address them. Other than that, we'll just move on and start our first unit, which is chapter 3. Okay. Other than that, I think that is it in terms of new content. I'm going to